Chris, one of the reasons I want to talk to you specifically is because you question Alex Jones, a high-profile defendant in his defamation case. In your experience, in your opinion, what might the strategy be from Dominion's lawyers when they get Fox News's high-profile hosts, their executives on the stand?
Well, I think it's probably fair to say that Alex Jones is a little bit of a unique personality on the stand, and to cross-examine, they're probably going to be dealing with somewhat more sophisticated individuals. But the motives in the case against Alex Jones are exactly the same as the motives that Fox News is going to have to deal with, and that is that they had a profit motive to spread these lies. The emails and the communications indicate that after they called the election in Arizona, they fast started losing audience, and that caused a panic within Fox News. They were losing ratings, they were losing their core audience, and that's when the narrative shifted for Fox News, where they decided to choose their audience and the profits that that audience brings rather than publishing the truth about the election. And so just as Alex Jones had a profit motive for spreading false lies about Sandy Hook because it generated his audience, so did Fox News. And that cross-examination is going to be very compelling because the jury is going to be wondering, why would they spread lies about something that everybody knew? And the answer is money.
Angelo, amid all of this, you got Fox News airing an hour-long interview with former President Trump. Do not worry, to my viewers, I am not going to show you that interview, even a clip of it. The Washington Post put it, Trump was simply allowed to prattle on at will. As someone who watches Fox News on the regular and thinks about it as a business, Angelo, what does that tell you?
I mean, two things. One, it was like the good old days when you were watching it for Fox News, where they would basically give Trump the floor for 20, 30 minutes without even asking him a question. I mean, Tucker Carlson basically said like 10 words in the first 12, 15 minutes of the interview. He just let Trump talk. In fact, one of the only things Tucker said was to reinforce the idea that the election was stolen. He said, some people say Joe Biden won the election. That was the introduction to the only question he asked Trump during that time period. So, I mean, part of it is that they have to, and it sort of demonstrates the fine balancing act that they're sort of walking here, which is that they have to give a wink and a nod to their audience and cater to them to some extent. It's, to me, very striking because just last month, it was the first month ever where another sort of Trump rival actually had slightly more coverage than Trump on Fox News. That has not happened for years. Ron DeSantis finally tipped Trump one time, 1 month. It has not happened in years that somebody else has gotten more coverage, and boom, they're right back now. And so to me, what it tells us is that this is going to be part of their fine balancing act. They're squeezed between a rock and a hard place. But the thing that is very, very clear is that they're going to continue to attack the elections. They're just not going to use the word Dominion, but they're going to continue to reinforce the big lie. And to an extent, they're still deeply captive to the part of the audience that is has so much allegiance to Trump. So much so that they will give him basically a full hour uninterrupted during primetime from a host who has repeatedly said that he hated Donald Trump and didn't think he was very smart and couldn't wait to stop talking about him.
Well, there's some scary moments for a Connecticut homeowner. Look at this. He had to fight off 4 would-be carjackers in his driveway. And get this, they're trying to steal his car right in front of his house in broad daylight. Christina Coleman has more on this story. Man, Christina, it's scary when you're in your driveway and they come and try to grab your car.
I know. I wouldn't even know what to. I would just call the police. But you know what? This guy didn't, and fortunately, he's okay. Now, the video of this incident is intense. We also want to warn you that it's graphic. The guys who were trying to steal the homeowner's car were kicking and punching him, but he would not back down. You could see the homeowner race out into his driveway and yank one of the would-be thieves from his red Infiniti, and then the two start trading blows. This incident was caught on the homeowner's surveillance camera on April 10th, just after 7 o'clock at night in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. That's about 10 miles south of Hartford. Police shared this video in an attempt to identify the suspects. 3 other guys join the suspect. One of them kicks the homeowner in the head. One of them jumps on his back. One guy starts to even beat him with his shoe. But that homeowner was like, "Not today, sir." He just kept on fighting. Eventually, a woman yells she's going to call the police, and that's when these guys take off.
I'm calling the cop! Go ahead!
Yeah, scary stuff there. The homeowner was treated at a local hospital for his injuries. He's expected to be okay. In an interview with a local news affiliate, a sergeant for the Rocky Hill Police Department said, quote, "Thank God that he wasn't seriously hurt. We're seeing a lot of these incidents throughout the state and the country that people are intervening and the suspect may have a weapon." And not sure if these wannabe thieves learned a lesson in this case. They are still on the loose. Eric?
All right, CB, thanks so much.
So as the National Guardsman accused of leaking classified military documents awaits his next hearing Wednesday, we are learning more about what those documents actually contain, right? Including that Taiwan could be vulnerable to Chinese air attacks, Beijing planning to provide lethal aid to Russia as well to use in Ukraine, and much more. NBC White House correspondent Monica Albert is joining me now with more on this. How concerned, Monica, is the Biden administration, right, about the sensitive information that is now becoming public knowledge?
Well, you had President Biden when he was traveling in Ireland just a couple of days ago, Yasmin, saying he wasn't that worried because the information in these classified documents wasn't contemporaneous, he said, meaning it was from a little bit of time ago. But clearly there is a pretty elevated concern here because now there's a major investigation underway to try to figure out why this young airman had access to all of this information. We know, of course, he was an IT specialist, but the question here and what is really a big part of this inquiry is why was he able to access all of this and then in some cases it seems print it and then of course post it and distribute it in that chat room with some of his online gaming buddies. So this has prompted major political backlash, as you can imagine, but most have been condemning this release of sensitive secrets. But you did have one Congresswoman, Marjorie Taylor Greene, defending Jack Teixeira and essentially saying that what he was doing was patriotic. And so you had fellow Republican Senator Lindsey Graham this morning responding to that assertion on the Sunday shows and talking specifically about what's at stake here.
What they're suggesting will destroy America's ability to defend itself, that it's okay to release classified information based on your political views, that the ends justify the means. It is not okay. If you're a member of the military intelligence community and you disagree with American policy and you think you're going to be okay when it comes to leaking classified information, you're going to go to jail. It's one of the most irresponsible statements you can make.
So as the investigation continues to play out here, Yasmin, we do know that the Biden administration and federal government will take a close look at how they monitor certain chat rooms and social media, because a big takeaway from all of this is the fact that much of this information was out there for weeks before the Pentagon even realized it.
Intensifying efforts to find a missing mother. It's been more than 2 weeks since Madelinekingsbury was last seen. Police calling her disappearance suspicious and say they are getting many leads. ABC's Jacqueline Lee joins us with more. Jacqueline, good morning.
Janae, good morning to you. 17 days. That's how long Maddie Kingsbury has been missing. Police and her family in Minnesota still frantically searching for her as we are learning more details about the relationship between the 26-year-old mother and her children's father. That father made his first public comments this week saying he had nothing to do with Maddie's disappearance.
This morning, as officials try to piece together why a Minnesota mom would go missing, we are learning new details about the father of her two children. Maddie Kingsbury vanished 2 weeks ago, police calling her disappearance suspicious. In Winona, thousands have showed up to search for her.
The leads that are coming in is unbelievable. We are actually getting hundreds of them. We have a lot of information that we're trying to process right now.
Adam Fravel, who has a 5-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son with Kingsbury, missing in that search. Fravel was recently served with a protective order, social workers placing a 72-hour hold on Maddie's children. In the document, police say Maddie is considered an endangered missing person and that when they arrived at the home, he became non-cooperative, taking one of the children in the house and locking the door while shouting expletives, eventually complying. The document also states that he does not have custodial rights.
It's clear that this case, I think, is all tied to the custody and control of these children. If Maddie is gone, he would ultimately, at some point, in his mind at least, have full custody of his children.
Fravel has denied any involvement in Kingsbury's disappearance, writing in a statement this week, "I want the mother of my 5-year-old and 2-year-old to be found and brought home safely. I want that more than anything." According to the police timeline, Kingsbury and Fravel dropped their kids off at daycare shortly after 8 a.m. on March 31st and then returned home. Fravel saying he left the house in her dark blue Chrysler minivan around 10 a.m. When he returned, she was not there. Maddie's sister now telling ABC News that the two lived together, but they were no longer in a relationship and that Maddie was looking for a new place to live.
We love her, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to let her become a statistic.
Police say they are now processing all the evidence for clues, including the minivan, Maddie's home, and the jacket she was wearing that morning.
Maddie's family saying this is the most traumatic time in their life, and all they want is to bring her home. As for Adam Fravel, he says he was advised by law enforcement that he not attend the press conferences or assist in her search, but police say they are not aware of any law enforcement giving him that advice. Gio.
All right, Jacqueline, we hope they find her. Thank